Welcome back to Endangered Species Spotlight. Let's talk about Przewalski's wild horse. So Przewalski's wild horse is actually the last species of true wild horse. The rest of the populations of wild horses are actually just escaped domestic horses, which have then returned to the wild. These are the last species of actually undomesticated horse in the world. So they are found around Central Asia, around like Mongolia and the steppes of Asia and stuff, like Gobi Desert and all that. But they are very endangered. There's only around 2,000 or so left in the wild. So they're endangered largely due to genetic bottlenecking, where there's such a small population where the genetic diversity decreases a ton, and so that brings a lot of problems because of loss of genetic diversity and all that. Another big one is habitat loss, which, of course, their native steppes and all that is not to the level that it used to be, and as well as they used to be hunted. So there are conservation efforts going on to save these. They're legally protected in the entirety of Mongolia, which is good for them. They're also captive breeding. These actually used to be extinct in the wild, but captive breeding programs helped bring them back and breed some in captivity and then release them into the wild, which has been great for them. There's also been some experimentation with cloning and stuff. I actually don't know the status on that, if it was successful or not, but they have been trying that, similar with what the black-footed ferrets that I talked about before. What's really interesting is there's actually a decently sized population of these living in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. If you don't know, Chernobyl, where the big nuclear disaster happened, there's a specific zone where nobody's allowed to enter because danger, obviously, but there was a bunch of these released into that zone in order for them to live there, and apparently they're thriving. They're doing great. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, luckily for them, their population does seem to be in recovery, which is great. They're still pretty heavily endangered, and as always, I will link to a few resources about them. But yeah, they're pretty interesting. Not a lot of people know about them, apparently. So yeah, Przewalski's wild horse.